Yes,
Well done,
because
man.
you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, and we bring you another Spurs chat. We've plenty to get through tonight. We will be talking about Alistair Gold's latest video on Fabrizio Romano's latest on Antonio Conte with him staying. We'll also be talking about Conte answering everything that everybody asked of him going into the Leicester game. And we will also be talking about the secret weapon, Gianni Vio, and then we have an interesting question at the end on Luka Modric as well. But as you can see, we are, of course, joined by co-host Jack Kanicki, the Godfather Philip Brady, and we've got two for the price of one today from Canada. We've got big up Mr. Daigle and big up Bobby K. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Keeping pretty well, Dave. I would say we had some interesting news kind of just came in right before the show, sort of kind of pivots the show, I think in kind of a more of a positive way, as much as it definitely changed some of the questions and whatnot. I think we're still going to have a good debate, kind of some good discussion out of it. And sometimes Spurs fans aren't really used to positive news over international break. And you could say this is a bit of positive news over international break to start with. So doing pretty well, Dave, with the news considering.
It's some great news, absolute great news. Philip, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, very good. Even better now when Fabrizio Romano is confirmed what I've been thinking all along, that Conte ain't going anywhere.
Thank God. Thank God. I was concerned. I'm not going to lie. I was concerned, but thank God. And the two boys from Canada, how are you keeping, brothers?
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. How's everything in Ireland today?
All good, my man. Piss and rain today, actually, but it still doesn't take the smile off my face.
Hell no.
All good here, David, my man. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be on the show with you lot. So looking forward to it.
No, good. But look, before we crack into it, we are going to welcome some people into the stream, and then we'll pass over to Jack to get it underway. Big up, Ellie. Good to see you. She said, we've had better footballing teams than our current team that haven't won a trophy. Conte is putting the cogs in place to deliver those trophies again. Absolutely love that, Ellie. Frank Lass says, here we go. Let's start a great show. Come on, you Spurs. Morning from New Zealand. Big yourself up, brother. Good to see you. We've also got Stephen Thomas says, not worried if he goes. He goes personally. I think he'll stay. Well, it's been confirmed that he is staying, my man. Sue Smith, big up, says, if Levy continues to back Conte financially, we have a chance of keeping him. However, I get the feeling Antonio Conte wasn't entirely convinced by our summer transfers. Derek Hutchins says, good evening, David and Jack. Conte going nowhere. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Derek.
Big up, Derek Hutchinson. Big up, Mick Hermanot. Good to see you. Same as Adrian Shocker. Great to see you, my man. He says, good evening, all. Who else have we got here? We've got Shamu Van Spurs says, Ericsson banger in the Denmark-Croatia game. All 3 goals, to be fair, are nice. Modric is so elite. I'll be honest, as Sonny said to the boys beforehand, couldn't care less what Christian Eriksen does. I don't even want to hear that he scored. He doesn't play for Tottenham anymore, so I've absolutely no interest, to be honest with you. Andrew Michael Cooper says Conte will stay for one more season after this one, in my opinion. Big yourself up. David W says, according to Fabrizio Romano's new update, Juventus is not in contact with any other manager. Juventus are not in the process to fire Allegri. Also, there is nothing going on between Conte and Juve like contact talks or discussions. So there is the update. King Hoddle says Romano's poured cold, Romano, I think he meant, has poured cold water over the Conte rumors. And if he walks after one full season, Spio's striking the extension, he'll be viewed as unstable by many of Europe's top clubs. Wisdom says, big up, everyone. Big up, Wisdom. Good to see you, my man. Pierre Oji, I emailed you back, my man. You need to send me the area code of what country you're from before the number so I can add you in, buddy. Big yourself up. I sent you an email. Just email me back. We've got Rob Ranganarson, Welsh gal. We've got Mohammed Kafi in the house. Big yourself up. Who else have we got in here? Let me see. We've got Mark New. Great debut on the fan show yesterday. Good to see you in.
Big up, Mark.
Good to see you in. We've got Christian Van Wyk. Great to see you. Evening, lads. How you doing? We've got Johnny Stokes in the building. Big up, Johnny. He says, evening, Dave and Jack. Big up the best Spurs show on YouTube. Really appreciate the comments, my man, and the compliment. Big yourself up. Who else have we got here? We've got Res Febar says, big up David, Jack, and the Flat Cap Army. Big yourself up, my man. We've also got Chris in the house. We've got Juan Daniel Sandoval says, yes, big up, Paul. One love. Big yourself up, my man. Great to see you in the building. We'll take a few more. We've got Philly. Philly says, big up, Crooklyn, Jack, Big Dave, B&B, and the Don, Dada, the Godfather. Absolutely love that. Big up, Philly, Philly. We've got Graham in the building as well. Big up, Graham. I hope you're keeping well.
Big up, Graham.
Ollie Freeman. Big yourself up as well. He says, big concern, Perisic went off injured for Croatia tonight. Yeah, well, Philip was assuring me there's nothing to worry about. So, Ollie, I'll take Philip's word on it. Big up. Bill says, big up the Idos. Big yourself up, my man. We've also got Miss TC Hotspur. Big up Jack David and the Flat Cap Army. Big yourself up. Mark Cross says, Ali Gold says Spurs can activate the 1-year extension anytime. Yeah, it's the reports over the last couple of days were saying it's two-way. It was a two-way clause where they both had agreed to it. But apparently, Ali Gold said he'd done some digging and that it is only one way and it's Spurs' way. So that is an absolute plus, absolute genius negotiation. The Spurs bench says, what a panel, absolute legends. Big yourself up. Take a few more. Sebas Wolf. Dave, shame on you for thinking. Look, you know, all I was going to say is when you seen Football London report that he was spotted entering when his family don't live anywhere near there, you know, there was potential for a conversation to happen. So it did worry me. I was 50-50 on it. But look, he's staying, and that's the main thing, Sebas. Nigel Watson says, evening all, good to see you. We've also got Vanilla in the house. Great to see you in the house as well. And KPV, we also have Drula, evening all, big yourself up. El Said is in the building as well to join us. Bob Coys as well. Great to see you, brother. And Bodrul Mazid as well. Great to see you. And then we have a super chat from the one and only Dermatron. And he says, Tottenham are a different beast from last season. Arsenal will meet a Spurs team that will never die or back down. Conte is not going anywhere. Look, well, with Gio, he's definitely added goals, Dermot. You know, the mentality when you look at it, West Ham away, Chelsea away, you would say that's changed. Has been happy hunting grounds over the last few years. But the North London Derby will be the biggest test of them all away at Arsenal. Look, I do think the factor this year, Antonio Conte, compared to when we went there under Nuno, look, for me, I think the players were trying to get him sacked in that North London Derby. Didn't work, held on for a bit longer. But this time, it's going to be absolutely different. Dermatron, big yourself up, my man, and really appreciate the support.
Big up, Dermot.
Everybody, make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button if you are new. And guys, keep getting your comments in the chat. We will do our best to keep bringing them up as we go along. But if you want to skip and you want to get your comment highlighted and discussed by the panel as well, by all four of us, feel free to get a super chat in, and we'll definitely all have a good discussion on it. But look, Jack, over to you, my man. Let's take it away.
Dave, you know, we had like a nice sort of warm-up question for this one, but I feel like we might just get into the bit of the happy news and probably just see what the Godfather kind of has to say about the bit of the happy news. And Philip, it was confirmed, I think, via YouTube or maybe a Twitch stream from Fabrizio Romano that Antonio Conte is actually focused on his project at Spurs. Are you confident? Are you happy to see that these rumors are kind of been put to rest with him going to Juventus? What sort of kind of feeling does this give you, seeing that, you know, he is focused with Spurs and we don't have to worry maybe any longer?
I think my position on this particular rumor has been very evident for the last few days, and I don't want to swear too much when I'm giving it, but an absolutely load of crap made up by an Italian journalist nobody's ever heard of. A report coming from Italy on a slow news week when there's no Premiership or League Serie A games. Who we have a go at this week? Oh yeah, let's have a go at Tottenham. We haven't had to go at them for at least 2 days, and you know, I placed absolutely no credence in it at all. If it had come from someone like Fabrizio Romano saying yes, he's talking to Juventus, then I would have been extremely worried. But now he's come and done the opposite tack and said he ain't going anywhere. I'm very happy to hear that. It's confirmed what we've known along. He's in the middle of a project. He's not going to walk away from it. Not when he's come so far. And as somebody said in one of the comments, it would make him look a bit unstable if he walked away from a club like Tottenham, where they are at the moment. And it would mean future employment might not just be as assured as he might think. So I'm very happy that Fabrizio has put the thing to bed. Hopefully that's it. And if they'd lay off Harry Kane now, I'd be even more happy.
Looks like, Philip, you were never really that skeptical. Looks like you were never really that worried. In fact,
no, I didn't believe
like you're really more annoyed.
No,
yeah,
I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed at the usual media treatment of Tottenham. We get no respect. End of. Really.
Just quickly, Philip, just to follow up, is there still reason, though, to maybe be a bit skeptical about Conte's future with Spurs? Or is this perhaps something that we should be excited about in your eyes?
Well, man, I don't listen. Conte's not going to finish his career at Spurs. I think we all know that, right? Mm-hmm. But we've got him. We've got him at the moment. We trigger the year's extension, which I think we should do at any stage. and we win a trophy or two in that during that particular 12-month period, why would he go? Why would he go anywhere else if he's got the chance? He starts with an FA Cup, and who's to say we'll not be pressing for the league next season with the right acquisitions that he didn't quite make this time around? So. No, I think I think I'm going to come to the stage now when I see somebody in the nose coming out with the stuff. I think I'll just unfollow them because it only gets me blood pressure up when I see stuff like that.
Maybe that, and maybe keep TalkSport as far away from me as possible. Philip is what I said.
TalkSport does not come out.
Did you see the latest one this evening on TalkSport, Philip, where they're trying to claim that Jason Conte was saying that Shaq is more reliable than Pierre-Emile Højbjerg?
Oh, I saw that, yeah. I read about it, yeah. Well, Jason Conte, enough said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even comment on him.
I love it. Mr. Daigle, were you ever kind of worried by these Conte to Juventus rumors at any stage? Were you ever skeptical, or were you kind of like Philip, were almost kind of annoyed the entire time by the rumors?
It's a bit of both. Listen, as I said when I came on the fan show yesterday, when you're an elite manager and an elite club might go fishing for a new manager, they're only going to look at elite managers. And then when you look at Antonio Conte, there's the links with Italy, and he's Italian, and he's an ex-player, and he's this, and he's that. So you start putting two and two together. And obviously it's come up with 12. And like Phil said, it is just lazy journalism. The same journalism, like I said, that said Potter wants Harry Kane and he's willing to exchange Lukaku for Harry Kane. And yeah, if anyone believes that, then literally, I don't know what planet you live on. They like to put the lazy journalism, but unfortunately, this will happen. We're Tottenham Hotspur and we're trying to go places, but to us, we are the elite of the elite clubs. But if you were to say to people, name your elite clubs around the world, unfortunately, Tottenham Hotspur aren't one of them. We aim to be one of them, but if you look at our history and our success with cups and whatever, we're not an elite club. We've got all the elite. We've got the elite stadium. We've got the elite training ground. We've got the elite manager. So it's going in the right direction, but this isn't about that man. It's about with Conte. So these rumors would always come about. They will always come about. If Real Madrid lost their manager right now, Antonio Conte will be a name that will be linked because of who he is. Because of that is who he is. And obviously you chuck the petrol on the fire, which is he hasn't signed this contract. Right. And then you hear rumors that he's waiting until January. So when you start, if you just heard this rumor by itself from Italy, you'd be like, yeah, it's like Phil said, it's international. It's a slow media week. But then when you chuck in, he wants assurances about January. And then you start hearing other lids, you're like, okay, wait a minute. This is exactly. There's kind of like, what is lazy journalism? What is fact? Do all these little stumbling blocks start making something where you're like, oh, wait a minute. But obviously the news has come out today, and the one thing Antonio Conte has stated, he's happy, and that should for me, and I only talk about me, that should be golden and all I need to hear. Yeah. But because of the man upstairs and because of what could happen and what hasn't happened, any petrol becomes a bushfire for me. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Well, but then it gets shut. The fact that Antonio Conte is someone that whether you think Romano gets it firsthand or he hears things and then he does it because when he says something, I listen. He's one person. If he says it, you listen. That's pretty high up the food chain. And hearing him say that and hearing it from Conte, then all of us can now be reassured. But the thing that gets me is there's no coincidence that every single time this happens, it's before a huge Tottenham Hotspur game. Whether it be against a Man City, whether it be against a Liverpool away or a Chelsea.
To unsettle us.
Well, if we're playing Brentford at home, this news doesn't come out. But it's like, it's Arsenal away. Let's start let's really start shit stirring about Tottenham Hotspur. And like Phil said, I think you're being a bit generous with 2 days. I think it'd been more like 2 hours before they had. But now that you've heard it from Conte and Romano, it's like, and breathe and relax and focus on the filth.
Definitely. I mean, you transition me well into the next question, and it's, I think, worth asking, though. But Mr. Bobby K, is there reason, though, maybe to still be skeptical despite this bit of news And is there maybe reason to probably not be fully there that Conte does see a project or a future with Spurs? Perhaps there is reason maybe to still be skeptical.
I think there's reason to be skeptical and optimistic as well, because I say optimistic. People don't want shitty players or managers. So when we see our players are linked and our manager is linked with big clubs, that means they're obviously doing the job and their quality. So that's exactly what we want to kind of see. I'm skeptical only because he hasn't put pen to paper. Once that is signed and it's there in black and white, then there is no gray area. And the media right now, that's where their realm is, the gray area. That's where they win because they can twist the story to their narrative. Is it positive? Is it negative? What do we feel like? Like Philip said, which way do we feel like stirring the pot today? Do we want to wind them up, or do we want to appease them and make them happy today? It's honestly, it's like some of these people in the morning before they write some of these articles, flip a coin and go, do I want to piss them off or make them happy today? Flip a coin and see where it ends up, and then come up with half the crap that is spilled out. But again, until there's things that are concrete, almost in stone, where yes, he's got a contract, yes, he's got a commitment. We know he's guaranteed to be here for 3, 4, 5 years. Now we know what the board has in terms of a timeline, what timeline we have for that project that he wants to do to succeed, get behind it fully and go. And I think that's where all of us as the fan base have the uncertainty, because we don't have his pen to paper. We don't have the contract from him. There's all the Harry Kane speculation and stuff. And until things are etched in stone, there's always going to be speculation. So
there are a lot of moving parts right now.
You guys know the way I am. I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm going to stay positive. As it stands right now, Conte is at the helm of our club. Harry Kane is at the front, and Sonny's scoring again. So let's just hope that we can start clicking and get this undefeated season going even better. That's all I'm hoping for right now.
Definitely. They're going to play in the crest yet again. That's all we can definitely confirm that. But Dave, Sebas saying shame on you for doubting Conte's future here. I'm not sure if you owe apologies or anything here, Dave, but you were one of the ones that were a bit skeptical, and you were one of the ones that maybe did get a bit nervous about the rumors. How do you feel maybe now, considering some of the bit of news?
Look, I was skeptical and nervous because I'm just so used to having good things taken off me at Tottenham. Harry Redknapp was enjoying myself. Look what happened there. Pochettino's enjoying myself. Look what happened there. Under Jose for a certain while when we were top of the league, I was enjoying myself. Look what ended up happening there. Luka Modric, when I was really enjoying him, he ended up getting taken off me. Same as Robbie Keane ended up moving to Liverpool and stuff like that. But I'm just used to getting these players or good things taken off me at Tottenham. And look, when you look at the rumor, he's Italian. He loves Italy. His kids and his wife are still living over there. So I was very hesitant to scrap it off. But what I will say is I think me and maybe others that would think like me probably just have to get used to the fact that we've got a world-class manager, and other big clubs around Europe, if they do think about a manager rotation, we will see Conte linked again just because of his ability. But yeah, I don't think I owe anybody an apology. Even if they wanted one, they wouldn't get one unless I felt it was deserved. But for me, yeah, look, it's a positive that he's staying. Now that we know he's staying, we can move on with it. The players now know that he's staying. Well, they probably always knew that he was staying. So for me, now we can all just get behind it, keep moving on. And what I will say is just hopefully that he keeps getting back, because I think he'll want to get back again in January. And I think once he gets assurances, I would still say I don't think we're out of the woodwork yet. I would still think that Conte is holding out probably until after the January transfer window to probably put pen to paper on anything, even though that the contract extension is there for Tottenham. Conte can make it very easy knowing that he doesn't want to be there and make it unhappy if he doesn't want to be tied down to that contract, if he doesn't feel Tottenham are still backing his project. So it's still important that we still back this guy's project. But all in all, it's great news that now the guy is staying and that we can just move on without these rumors.
Yeah, Sebas is understanding where you were coming from, though, Dave. He's saying, that's true, Dave. I feel you. We can't have nice things at this football club. And it's where just Dave was coming from. He just felt like it could be all taken away from him in a flash, Sebas Wolf, and he wanted to cling on tight, but looks like we can maybe breathe just a little bit longer. We're going to stick, though, with kind of this bit of news, but maybe speculate a bit further, lads, as we always want to, and as we always do on this channel. Philip, does Conte see a long-term future with Spurs? And maybe considering this bit of news, he does like to use the word "we" a lot. He does like to kind of mention how it's going to take a lot of windows in order to fix this, but he uses kind of the us and the we in a lot of that sort of kind of mention of kind of the project here at Spurs. Is this bit of news maybe further evidence that Conte is going to stay?
Yeah, like I said in the last piece there, I don't expect him to stay forever. But I would like to think he's going to be there for the next 3 or 4 years, during which time he will build a title-winning team. I've no doubt. He's done it everywhere else, and if he can get the right players in that we didn't get this transfer window, I'd be a good centre back and an attacking midfielder. There's no reason for him to go anywhere. Now, what will temper his thoughts, I'm sure, is the way that he's treated in the transfer market. If he is told, sorry, we haven't got the budget to buy X, Y, and Z player, that could piss him off. So I think we've got to make the money available for him to buy the players he wants. Okay, he's not going to get them all for whatever reason. Some players may not want to come. They might want to leave the country they're in. You just can't legislate for that. But if Levy can keep him happy in the transfer market, if the team keeps progressing the way it's been going, there's no reason to believe in the near future, 2 to 3 years' time, that we'll be looking for a new manager. And I guarantee by the time Conte leaves this club, we will have won the league.
What? Let me have a follow-up question on
Whoa,
that.
bro, that's bold. That is bold.
Let me have a follow-up question. Let me have a follow-up question on that with Philip, and then Dagan and Bobby K can also come in and answer this. Sure. What do you think it'll take Tottenham to do to be able to tie Conte down to another contract? Because look, we all know at the end of this season there's an option to extend for Tottenham. But beyond that, if we were to tie him down for another contract, what do you think Tottenham have to do in order to get him to sign on?
Well, again, I think success is what they need to do. Win a trophy. Get Harry Kane to sign another contract, right? Keep recruiting the players of the standard that we've been trying to get, the likes of Bastoni. Will we ever get him? I hope we will. But keep going for the top class players that's available. And use Conte's reputation as a magnet to get them into our club, because a lot of players, they know what he's like. They want to play for him, and again, we've got to keep the guy happy. That is it. We piss him off, he'll walk at some stage. Hopefully, he signs the 1 year extension, which will give us another season out of it for him to work his magic. But I mean, I've seen a lot of Spurs managers coming and going. And I mean, some of them, I can't even remember the names of them. They were so bad. Well, Christian Gross would probably been the best of them. But I started supporting Spurs in the days of Bill Nick. So, we did very well under Bill Nick, because he was an exceptional manager, exceptional man manager. Conte appears to be the same thing. The players seem to love him, even though he kills them in training. So, keep the man happy. Do whatever you want. Give him whatever he wants, and we will go. The old Kevin Costner thing: if you build it, they will come.
Hopefully,
keep saying that, but it's more relevant to Tottenham than it is to the Field of Dreams at the moment.
Speaking of building, though, Daigle, perhaps in January, where there could be some convincing that could be done, for Antonio Conte to extend and for Antonio Conte to see a future with Spurs. Let's say, hypothetical scenario, Spurs are still maybe 4th or higher in the league. We're pushing. We're kind of where we need to be, at least. Maybe not even where we want to be, but where we need to be. Conte maybe has some murmurings of needing a certain something, perhaps needing that center back that Dave is asking for or whatnot. Do you feel like they'll need to come through for him in order for then also that contract to be extended? Basically, it's kind of like I said before, a lot of moving parts maybe in order to get him to extend, though.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, it's January. We thought last January was important. This January is more important, in my opinion. And what you got to remember, the only difference with this January is if any targets that we are looking at right now or on the list for us to go, if they're at the World Cup and they have a good World Cup, their price goes through the roof. It doubles. So the money, like let's just say, for example, it was a Skriniar. Let's just say, I don't know if he's even going to the World Cup, but if he's available now at, let's say, 35 million, if he has a good World Cup, that 35 becomes 50 very quickly, or whatever. So the budget with that this January is imperative. And Phil mentioned the man. Bill Nicholson is the greatest manager in our history, hands down, no matter what. Antonio Conte is the biggest managerial appointment we have ever made or will ever make, because Bill Nicholson came in as a nobody and became who he was. Antonio Conte came in, bang, right at the top. And let's face it, if he was to go, and right now he's not, so that's not what I'm saying, any manager that comes into Tottenham Hotspur, if Conte or when Conte walks, is a downgrade.
Yeah.
You are not going to find another manager, because Pep and Klopp aren't leaving City and Liverpool respectively to come to us. And then who else is there in that bracket that you would say they're there? So anyone that comes in is a downgrade.
It's a delicate situation.
Exactly. When you've got this, Jack, like Phil again said, don't pick. You got to remember, we got Jose Mourinho in, and we knew Jose Mourinho's MO was spend hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of millions, which we knew he weren't going to have. Antonio Conte doesn't do that. He doesn't spend. He's not one of those like Jose that will drop 90 million on Pogba and so forth. He finds players that fit into his squad, fit a particular criteria that he needs, and he wants them there. And it's not always about the money for him. It's the quality of player and how it fits in his system. So it's not like a Jose Mourinho keep happy and spend hundreds and hundreds of millions on the big players that are there. It's buying the players he identifies and says, right, these guys fit into my system, and getting them and not dragging it out. And we saw in January how we left it till the last minute, and it paid off this time, as we all know, with what happened. But you can't keep doing that. And if you do that again, are you testing Conte's patience?
Yeah.
Are you? And it could be, why are you doing this to me again? We're, like you said, if we're fourth, third, second, or even touching distance of first, and we mess about. If you look at the players that came in, can you imagine if we'd got Kulusevski and Bentancur at the beginning? Not saying that they're available, but we would have had them for the two semi-finals against Chelsea, the league game against Chelsea. If the Gunners hadn't been runners, and that could have had a huge impact on our final position and not have to wait till last day. So for me, this January is twice as important as last January. And we've got to make sure that whether they have a good World Cup, if it, like I said, if it is Skriniar has a good World Cup and his budget, his value goes up, it doesn't matter. Conte wants him, get him. Not, okay, it was 35, it's now 50, but we can get this defender at 35 and try and get him. It's got to be the players Conte's identified. And they should have had long enough now between the summer and the World Cup to at least get the ball rolling, and whatever goes on behind closed doors that we're not privy to. So for me, it's absolutely imperative.
Definitely.
It's so unusual, this January window, because it's the first January window ever that's been preceded by a World Cup. So you're going to have players going into this World Cup that nobody's ever heard of, and by the end of the 3 weeks, they're going to be national heroes wherever they are, and they're going to their price is going to go through the roof. So it's going to be really interesting to see how clubs manage this. And
Philip, you've got to add injuries to that as well, because if we pick up an injury as well, that's another thing that needs to be cut. Not just pick up the injury and recover from that, still have the money to get the targets you originally wanted to beef the squad up and get us where we want to be.
But we're going to have I think we're going to have about 10 players at the World Cup, possibly more.
Yeah.
Our recruitment, though, has to be spot on, because we already got burned off the back of a World Cup before when we played, at the time, what it was, big bucks for Paulinho, and it just never kind of, went our way. So we do have to be careful. Hopefully we go into January trying to attain targets that we couldn't attain this summer, rather than sign players off the back of one good World Cup in a sort of, hope, or sign them while we spot and get the fans excited. I want us to continue.
We also got Ozzy and Ricky after the World Cup. Remember that?
Very true. Yeah, very true. But it's different. It's different now compared to back in the day. You know, a lot different now. But also, Paratici has a part to play in this as well. Keep bringing in the right caliber of players. I think as long as he's staying here and he's overseeing the recruitment and getting in the players Conte wants, but also overseeing the long-term plans, like bringing in Adoji, sending him back out alone, but he'll come good. Spence will end up coming good over a period of time. But also bringing up the caliber of players from the youths into the first team to give Conte better players to work with in the future as well. So for me, I think it's got to be Paratici and the board and the owners, to be honest with you, all to play their part to be able to keep Antonio Conte.
Definitely. And the same question goes to you, Bobby. Let's say, we might be in a situation, this is kind of unique to Spurs, where we'll be in a situation where we might need a player in order to build off of perhaps already a successful season where we're challenging the teams that normally we don't challenge, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. We're pushing for perhaps spots that we normally don't challenge for and whatnot. Do you think we'll probably need something in January? And do you think Conte will probably be asking for something in January to come in?
First off, forgive me for answering your question with the question, but are you mad at me or something? You want me to go after the Godfather and then this man and weigh in with amateur opinion hour here? Thought you're supposed to work the other way, up the mountain, not down the scale.
You want your own question? Do you want the superhero questions then?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for changing the question for me a little bit so I could add something. You know what, Jack? There's no doubt about it. We have to have some form of investment. We already know our squad is light now when we look at them. We simply don't even have a replacement for Dyer. We don't have replacement like-for-like players. Forget changing formations. If we want to continuously go to that three-man midfield, which we all saw against Leicester, and we were also impressed with and happy with, it's going to be really hard to do with four midfielders. One goes down, you've got no rotational players available for yourself. So we've got to look at shoring up that position as well. And if we can get, like you say, like Brian already touched on already, don't go, not option B. Not option B. Option A. When the man gives you option A, if he goes out there and he says, I want a red Ferrari, bring him a red Ferrari. Don't show up with a blue BMW, please. Don't try to sell him something else. Get the man what he wants. It's been proven. He gets results. He's getting the results with what he has now. We're not playing beautiful football, but I know Stella said this, and I actually appreciated that. Look at the players he had at Inter, and look at the way they played there. The style of football is different because he had the players. So if you get this man the players he wants, the style of play will be better. So let's start fully backing him, investing right behind him properly, and getting the money up there and spending it, because God knows we have it. We know we've got it compared to other clubs, and it's not like we haven't spent the money before. Like you've already touched on, we just didn't scout properly before. We didn't invest it properly before. We made bad signings. And Ndombele, Paulinho, Jansen, Soldado, big money players that we thought were going to come in and impact our team immediately, and did absolutely nothing because we got it wrong. But it seems like now, like you guys touched on already, the scouting department, that's all been revamped. When we were listening to Alistair yesterday and we heard the 72 new positions that were created with all these new job titles and stuff, I don't know what's going on there, but it seems like they're addressing like every key area at least, and trying to do something behind closed doors to build the football into things. So let's just hope it's actually going to work out, and it's not just smoke screens for all of us fans to kind of get happy and giddy about that something happening, and then left disappointed again. That's all.
It is a big job as well. We can't deny how big the job is. Like, we're trying to build up the whole youth system from scratch again. We're trying to build up the whole scouting department while building the first team as well. So, we've got a lot on. Paratici has a huge job on his hands. And for me, I place a lot of trust in the guy, and I think he will get it done. I just think we will have to be, and I know Daigle won't like to hear this, but I do think under Paratici, we have to be a little bit patient, because for me, he's shown he can do the job which Steve Hitchen couldn't. And hopefully at the back of it, with a little bit of patience, we will see a much improved Tottenham going forward.
It's going to be an important January window, simply because while we have that sort of, I don't know, kind of fear of getting it wrong after a World Cup, the question being is, like, we might find ourselves in a position where we do still need to make a signing in order to keep pushing, in order to keep kind of I don't know how you say, just keep the pace is probably the right word with the likes of the rest of the league, if we do want to finish in that sort of top 4, top 3 kind of echelon, and then also be pushing for cups and etc. So I think we are going to probably need to make a signing of some sorts in the likes of January, and we're going to need to get it right, because in January you can't make 4 or 5 signings and maybe expect 3 or 4 of them to come good and one of them to go wrong. You usually only make 1 or 2 signings, and you're going to need both of them to go well. So definitely going to need to do our homework, certainly in that case. Dave, kind of any thoughts on that January window that's going to be a bit delicate, or should we push on maybe to the next bit of questions? Because also as well, I must say there are 240 in the house, and Dave only 60 likes actually.
What?
As well.
I will say quickly in January. I'll get to you 1 second, Diggle. I will say
Okay,
quickly.
cool.
I will say quickly. In January, I think. Look, there's going to be some pre-contracts that will across Europe that we can start looking at getting in. The likes of Kamada, players like that. Luka Modric, he'll be another one that if he hasn't signed a new one, that the contract will come up and we'll speak on him. But for me, I think the biggest one is defense. And I know people are going to say, Dave, stop talking about it. But we've seen under Jose Mourinho before, for a period of time, they can get us to the top of the league, but it will crumble at some point. And I'm just using the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years in some cases with some of these guys to back me up. And I do think going in, we need to strengthen that back line, and that will really propel us in the business end of the season where it really matters against the best teams. I think that's what will ultimately get us over the line. So I'm hoping that we couldn't get them in the summer, and that hopefully in January, 1 or 2 across that back line will come in to help bolster the options.
Yes, yeah, so just very quick.
Sorry for ignoring one of my students. I apologize.
Brother, that's right. I just want to address Ellie's comment that she said to me. Ellie, I don't know if I didn't make myself clear enough. When I was talking about Bill Nicholson and not being the elite manager, what I'm getting at is I'm fully aware what he'd done as a player. I'm saying when we look at managerial, Bill Nicholson, when he took over Spurs, was a Spurs player with no managerial status, and he earned himself the elite Mr. Tottenham, greatest manager we've ever had status. He worked there to get there with Tottenham Hotspur. He was not Antonio Conte's level back then and came in as an elite manager. If you look at when we hired Bill Nicholson, he was like in the managerial capacity, it's a former Spurs player that's come back to manage Tottenham Hotspur. Like Glenn Hoddle, great playing career, managerial career, wasn't elite. Conte comes in at the top of his game, at the top of not just his game, on the very, very top tier of managerial people worldwide. Bill Nicholson was not that when we appointed him Tottenham Hotspur manager. That's what I was trying to say. I don't know if I made myself clear enough on the first time.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've gotten our thoughts mostly on kind of the future of Conte, as well as perhaps how delicate, like I said, this January window is going to become. What I did say before, though, is now there are 250 in the house. And if I'm not mistaken, still about only 60 likes, everybody. So do hit that like button if you are enjoying the streams as well. And do give us your thoughts on maybe kind of the relief, at least from what we've got for at least the time being, regarding kind of Conte at least staying with Spurs and seeing a project with Spurs. Get it into the comments, and if you do feel like it, get into super chat as well. But we are going to now kind of steer away from kind of the Conte kind of speculation now, lads. We're going to talk about sort of the Conte tactics and whatnot, and we did see a lot of kind of substitutions against the likes of Leicester, something a lot of fans were complaining about, and something that we probably had thought at one stage Conte was very stubborn about. Philip, are you kind of relieved that Conte was given, so many had so many substitutions, and is this something that we're going to start kind of seeing more regularly?
I hope so, because the substitutions on Saturday changed the course of that game. Okay, I know we were winning 3-2 when he made them, but look at the influence Son had when he came on. Look at the influence Basuma had. I mean, Leicester, for me, were getting far too much time and space in that middle area, and Maddison was running the show. But as soon as Basuma came on, that all changed, and Leicester were really on the back foot at that stage. So, yeah, I mean, I think one sub against Sporting Lisbon was a head scratcher. It really was. That game was crying out for substitutions. And for whatever reason, which we'll probably never know, we don't know why he didn't make them. But hopefully he has learned his lesson. And good substitutions have changed so many matches over the years, but not so much, very rarely for Spurs. Saturday was quite an occasion, really, because, for subs to come on and do what they did. I mean, I think it's the first substitution ever for Spurs to score a hat-trick. Ever. So that was some achievement. So, I think we've got the players to come in there. We should have the players. And we still have the likes of Jed Spence, who, for whatever reason, just can't seem to make even the matchday squad at the moment, which I'm very surprised with, But it was good. It was my favourite substitution was when, apart from Sonny's, of course, was to see Sanchez going off and Romero coming on, because I don't think it could have took much more of Sanchez. He made that mistake.
I thought Sanchez was the Great Wall of China, Philip. People tell me he's the great this Great Wall of China. He's this great defender.
The Great Wall of China is big and doesn't move.
That's a bit more Harry Maguire.
That tackle he made for the penalty, that was amateur hour, really. He couldn't even time it right. If he'd done it a split second early, it would have been outside the area. But he waits till the man's on the line, then he tackles him. And that was at 5 minutes in, and he'd already given the ball away at that stage as well. So for whatever reason, Romero didn't start. I'm glad he came on, and that was a vital sub to make. And Bissouma, I think, proved to a lot of us that what a good player he is.
Yeah.
Really good player. We look so much more solid. And I'd say the three in the middle could be the way we go forward, especially against the Gooners.
No.
Because
I mean,
we can't be overrun the midfield by them.
Speaks to the levels of substitutions he was making, though, Philip. The fact that he took off a center back, he took off Sanchez. I mean, that's how many substitutions he was making. All of a sudden, he went substitution crazy.
We're allowed five. I mean, if we're allowed five, why not use them if he feels they're going to benefit the team?
What I will say is some of the substitutions he's made were some of our best players coming off the bench. That is not going to happen every single week.
No, that's true.
Just interestingly, on the Sanchez one, right? Now, just hear me out on this. When Højbjerg was getting a lot of stick and people were saying Harry Winks was better than Højbjerg, he dropped Højbjerg for the Wolves game and really highlighted how important Højbjerg was to this team. Now, people have been backing up an average Davinson Sanchez for quite some time now over the last few weeks, and they bring up all these stats, fluff them up, jazz them up, and make them sound perfect. But they won't tell you that this guy keeps clean sheets against teams that have trouble scoring goals, which I expect them to keep clean sheets against. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Sanchez, a lot of talk about Romero, this, that, and the other. We're playing Sanchez 7 minutes in. There's highlighted why he does not start Sanchez. And I think it could be another one of them, what he done with Højbjerg back with Winks, again with Romero and Sanchez. Possibly. Just to remind Spurs fans how good some of these guys actually really are compared to some of the guys.
It's a good point. It's a good theory. It's a good theory.
Are we going to see Conte go substitution crazy again, Bobby? Is he going to go substitution crazy again at some stage? Are we going to see this regularly, or do you kind of think on David's lines, maybe that was a bit special with Leicester?
You know what? It's funny, Jack, and thank you for wording the question so perfectly, because you just got to look at the two games within 1 week. You look at what happened with Sporting and absolutely nothing going on there, and then you turn around and you went to the other end of the spectrum drastically.
Confusing.
So I honestly don't know what's going on in this man's mind.
Confusing.
Because I was one of the ones that was critical of what he did at Sporting. I really was. Because I honestly thought even if it had to be a like-for-like player, just bring on some fresh legs, anything. And I was pulling my hair out, and I was watching that game with Sean, and I was just, go. I was just going absolutely bonkers that, come on, we finally got something. And it's like Philip addressed already. It's been so long since we've seen a player come off the bench and impact the game. Like we saw, I think, last with like the Robbie Keane, Defoe, and Berbatov when we had them there, and we always had one of them could come on late kind of thing. That was the last time I can remember it, where we had somebody that can come on and change things. So now we have options. And it's been that long since we've had options. That's insane. So let's just
kind of game-winning substitutions, right, Bobby?
Well, this one was like, I know everybody's crediting the Sonny one just because of what he did. You get a hat trick when you come on in 13 minutes. Come on, you're going to be around the world. Everybody's got to stand up and give you a round of applause. That's just amazing. And the fact that you haven't scored all season, and then you come on and you do that, there it is. We were all saying, form is temporary, class is permanent. The man showed his class. Simple as that. But I actually was just really happy to see Bissouma get the amount of minutes he did, not 5 at the end. I was happy to see him come on early and actually impact the play.
Make
and
an
then
impact.
Even see that Højbjerg then could trust Bissouma was behind him, so he went up a little bit. And even that pass up for the third goal from Højbjerg, all of a sudden our midfield had
great answer,
confidence. And it's something that I think we've been really lacking in games. I think that's why all of us as fans were just really pumped up and got excited about it, because we saw something we haven't seen. And then boom, 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 boom. Once those goals started, it was just, for us just watching on this end, it was great. And Ellie was kind enough to shoot some videos for us inside the stands in the seats while I was happening and send it to me and the boys to show us. And you get that feeling in there. And it's just like, oh my God, this is so wicked. And it was just great to see. Let's just hope. I've been saying, like, the football's been poor. The results are there. I just hope we start gelling, clicking. And if that starts happening, if we're getting these results in third gear, I've got high hopes of what we're going to accomplish when we get into fifth gear. And then if we actually do what we're supposed to do and add the cherry to the top of that sundae come January, we have every right to be very, very optimistic.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Mr. Daigle, I know that's a tough one to follow up this time. He's now just played it against you. But do you feel like Conte is going to go substitution mad this time? Maybe even against Arsenal in case things go wrong? Or was that maybe a one-time sort of thing like we saw against Leicester? And like Bobby kind of rightfully raised, it's a bit confusing, and kind of the reason where the question is coming up is because Sporting, he was a bit stubborn, and then Leicester, he went substitution crazy.
I think, Jack, you're looking at the game and the formation he starts off. If you look at it, when we normally go to the filth, there's that famous saying, play the game, not the occasion. Well, when we normally go there, we play the occasion, not the game. And we get overrun and we fall short and we do whatever. What I like that I saw from Conte against Leicester is for the first time he identified a problem. First of all, the big problem with Emerson, and he put Perisic, like, right, let's give Perisic a go there. And then when the 3-4 working, he switched to the 3-5-2. I hope and pray he starts with the 3-5-2 against Arsenal, against the filth. And then I think that formation will be enough to see us through. I think that formation wins us the game. And if we do that, there may be a lack of substitutes because the game will be played how we want it, and then he needs to make changes as and when. If he goes 3-4-3 and it falls flat on our face and we get overrun again, then it could be all these changes come in thick and fast and we do it. And that's what I think he's got to do. We know that 3-4-3 is his default setting. We know that everywhere he goes. But I think what I saw from him against Leicester was he is willing to, now he thinks he's got these players that can play the 3-5-2, or like we saw against Chelsea when he put 4 up top. He's got the options and he's not afraid to change them. It's just whether he starts at 3-4-3 every game and go, oh, wait a minute, this ain't working. Let's do 3-5-2 or 4. Or he goes, right, this game, I need to overrun the midfield. I'm starting with a 3-5-2. And then obviously make the subs, which can be just positional wise as opposed to tactical. Yeah. So I think we're going to find out the answer to that question based on how he starts games. If he adapts the games to the team, then we might not see many. But if it goes wrong with the formation, then he may go haywire.
I disagree with
away games to
disagree with everything. Here we go.
Everything that everybody said. I disagree with it all, but I let Jack go first and then come to me because I disagree with everything they've all said.
I think he's got 3 away games coming up, so I'd be surprised if he really got it right every single time, or if every kind of player that he's selected for each starting 11 played in the way that he wanted to. I think he is going to need to make some substitutions in a similar manner again, because if you ask me, some of those substitutions were probably kind of game-saving or at least game-winning kind of substitutions, as switching to that 3-5-2, kind of pivoting, I think, after Bentancur got us that goal, a very clutch goal, may I add, as well. I think they were kind of necessary substitutions, as much as it was nice to see him prove that he could make a lot of substitutions after what happened against Sporting. I think they were very kind of game-saving sort of subs as well. So something to consider, at least I would say.
Of course, they were all game-changing because our best players were coming off the bench, Jacko. Look, for me, right, I actually take on board what everyone's saying, but I can't help but feel this. Just hear me out on this, right? Everyone was questioning Conte after the Sporting game, everything else. Now, I think it's an ego thing with Conte, which I absolutely loved. Everyone's been dogging Emerson down the last few weeks or the last while. We put Perisic out at right wing back. We got exposed time and time again down that right-hand side and down that left-hand side. And it shows the defensive solidity that Emerson offers, and that's why he plays there. Everyone was talking about Son being bang out of form. Okay, I'll take him out, and then I'll put him on. I'll show you that it's just form is temporary, class is permanent. There's your answer. Everyone was fluffing up Sanchez and having a go at Romero. Takes out Romero, brings in Sanchez. Look what happens. There's your answer. And I think it was a point to prove to absolutely everybody. That's why I played these individuals, because I think we'll all agree our starting 11 at Leicester was nowhere near our best starting 11. Nowhere near it. Now, yes, we got away with it. But everything he done, when I look at the changes he made, for me, I think he was out there to prove a point. This is why Emerson plays. This is why Son plays. This is why Romero plays, in my opinion. And ever since then, everyone's back-lauding the guy yet again. Now, we will not get the same impact every single week in every single game doing this, because our best players came off the bench.
Definitely.
And there's
Great
sense to my
answer.
madness. There is sense to it.
and he'll find a way if he can to especially after everybody else has answered. Dave's got to find a way to be a bit unique here. So well done, Dave.
But when you think about it, though, you can't deny it. You cannot deny it. Emerson came on off the bench, solidified that right-hand side, proved why he plays there every single week. Son came on, proved why you never drop the guy, because he's always going to score your goals.
So some of the subs.
Yeah. You know, you can't deny it.
Some of the subs, were probably more regulars, being brought into the team to save maybe some of the blunders from before. Probably true. Dermot here with the super chat for Philip saying, "What color did you get your tractor in, Philip?"
There's a story behind that. No, I was at a big agricultural show in down south yesterday, and there was a tractor on sale for €500,000. So I was talking to Dermot about it today, and I said the reason, but I'm not to do with farming, but it says I wouldn't buy it because it was it was coloured red. I'd only buy it if it was white and blue, you know. But that's what that joke is about. But I just spent £500,000 on the tractor. Jesus.
Anything you want to say back to Dermot, though? Perhaps a response and retort? I don't know, maybe Dermotron.
I was just telling Dermot about today, so that's where he's getting me. He's getting his own back on me now by putting it up as a super chat. But good man, Dermot. Hope you're keeping okay.
Jacob here from United Spurs of America saying Bazuma came on. We changed the formation. 3 minutes later, Sonny began his moisture terror. Trust Conte. Big ups, Dave, Jack, the Godfather, Bobby Gay, and Daigle. Big yourself up, Jacob.
Big up.
And everybody check out United Spurs of America. Great channel over there. But certainly, I think switching to that 3-5-2 brought the best out of Sonny, and it brought the most moisture out of Sonny and probably out of you, Jacob. Pick yourself up. But Dave, anything to say to Jacob? I mean, I think you even just had a conversation before that game with him previewing it, or at least we did together, if I recall. And he was probably a bit desperate for that Sonny performance.
Yeah, he was desperate for it. I promised him it was going to come regardless whether he started or whether he came off the bench, and it came. Look, you know, we look better with him on the pitch, look better with Romero on the pitch, look better with Emerson on the pitch. But I told you, I did tell you, Jacob, form is temporary, class is permanent. Someone's always going to come good. I've been there with Harry Kane, experienced it, and I'm living it once again.
Absolutely. Big up, Jacob. Yeah. Everybody check out his channel as well, United Spurs of America. Big yourself up. Faz Radfire on a similar note saying impact sub was Basuma, not Son. Hope to play the 3-5-2. I guess Basuma is the one that made the 3-5-2 possible, and he did kind of bring out the best out of Højbjerg that I think might have been brought up by Bobby, if I recall earlier as well, and kind of allowed sort of a different look on Bentancur and Højbjerg maybe playing different positions. Certainly the impact sub, as much as Sonny stole the show, a big call there from Faz. Love it, Faz.
I think the ball had an impact. I think you'd be silly to deny Basuma had an impact. He did have an impact in terms of formation, but at the end of the day, goals win you games. And Sonny went up and scored a hat-trick, took the game away from Leicester. He did have an impact.
No kidding, Franco. Holy.
Can somebody please tell me when the last time we had a plus 11 goal difference, only 7 games into the Premier League season? I remember many a time when we had a negative goal difference into the second half of the season. I think it's something Dark Sun G has brought up plenty of times as well, Davo. And I think Frank is just helping us out here and maybe remembering how far we've come actually in this year. So big up.
But it's called, you know, it's things like this, though, that as Spurs fans, we should appreciate what Franco is saying, because he's right. You know, we don't look at big picture. We look at the here and now kind of thing. We look at one performance. Oh, Conte's not doing well. We didn't play that great. We're winning. We're third.
Is it kind of like we keep looking up, seeing how much further we have to climb, how much further we have to go, and sometimes maybe we don't look down and see how far we've just came. It's kind of sort of situation.
Well, you know what? To be fair, we're really taught that in life, aren't we, Jack? Always look forward, not back, right? So
yeah. Good answer.
That's why we're a little bit, I guess, anxious to see the results of what we want show up faster than they're really going to. But a little bit of patience is required. But I think what it is we're also, a lot of people are fed up hearing the be patient thing, because it's been patience for a very long time too, right? But it seems we're slowly getting there. So let's just we're on course. We're on course. Let's just keep going. We're finally ships in the right direction, man.
No, naturally wired that way. Love that. Dermot here is saying, do the panel think we will stick with a 3-5-2? Coming right back to that screen there, Mr. Daigle. Then I'll go to Bobby second. Do you think we'll play with a 3-5-2 against Arsenal, or will we go back to the 3-4-3?
Do I want us to? Yes. Do I think we will start with a 3-5-2? No. No. I think he's just so rigid with starting with that 3-4-3 and then having it as a buffer to change into, as opposed to starting with it and then reverting back. So I fully expect to see the 3-4-3, but I hope at some point before it's too late, because like if you just look at how we were in the last one with Nuno, I know it's a completely different scenario, but there's been many a time that when we've gone to the field in the first half, they have just run us ragged. Even remember when Lamela scored that Rabona goal? Even that game, they started like absolute. They always start like a house on fire, and I hope it's just. I hope if we do need to revert to it, it's not like we were 2-2 in the game against Leicester and then things started changing. I hope it starts changing, or 3-2, whatever it may have been. I just hope if we do revert back to it, it's not because we're 2-0 down and need to do it, maybe a 0-0 or whatever. But I in answer to Dermot's question, I think as much as I want to see it, we will start with a 3-4-3.
Yeah, but you do want to see the 3-5-2 still, nonetheless. Bobby K, same answer. Do you think on kind of different lines, will we see the 3-5-2 from Conte?
I think we'll see it, but like Brian said, I don't think we'll start with it. But I think it's not because of Conte's stubbornness. I think it's just because of personnel. We've got Skip just coming back from injury. He's just being slowly nursed into the team. If we start with all three of our midfielders, what do we got? We've got no option on the bench. If we've got Basuma, Højbjerg, and Bentancur in there all at once, and we've got Skip who's just coming back and hasn't touched the field yet, we're taking a serious gamble there. Whereas if we can hold on playing the 3-4-3, get to the point where we can slowly get them worn down and everything, and then switch it up and just bang out firecracker like we did against Leicester, then let's just boom, and beat the shit out of them all at once in one round. Let's get to the 12th round and just beat the crap out of them in the 12th. Let's stay stable. Let's stay strong. Let's stay compact. Do what we got to do to keep them the hell out of the net for the 11 rounds, and then just boom, 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 like Leicester, man. I'd love to see that again. But
sometimes throwing the first punch is the best way to go about it. Like that.
Personally,
yeah, it's always got to be the combo, Jack. You got to get in there, baby. One shot doesn't do anything.
We've yet to see a combo away from home in a North London derby. I'd love to see a combo of some kind of any sort of hook thrown at all. We've yet to throw a hook. It feels like.
I think it's just personnel. If we had another midfielder that we knew, like, God, if we had Madison or something like that, then it's a possibility we could start like that. But I just think because of numbers is also a main reason why we won't start that way.
I wouldn't put it past him. I don't think he will start with that going into the North London derby, but he did start with that against Liverpool before and it worked. So I wouldn't put it past him to be able to start with that formation. I wouldn't write it off. I don't think he will, but I just would say.
But he had numbers then, Dave. He had numbers. We still had Lukaku. We had Ndombele here. We had Nelly here. Winks was here. But I'm saying we had numbers though.
Bobby K. If you're counting,
I never said we had good players. I said we had numbers.
I didn't cut across you. Let me speak.
Fair enough.
Right? Ndombele is not a number because he was no use to Tottenham. Dele Alli, not a number, no use to Tottenham. Winks, no good to Tottenham. Lo Celso, no good to Tottenham. Like, the thing is, you can count them as a physical number, as a body, yes. But if we're being honest, were they any use to Tottenham? No. So they weren't actually doing anything. We've got more numbers now in terms of players that want to be here. And I'll start from bottom up. Sarr, Skip, Bentancur, Basuma, Højbjerg. We've got more numbers in midfield now than what we did back then, and more players that want to be here and play for the shirt than what we did back then. So don't count these guys as numbers when they offered absolutely nothing to this Tottenham team when they were here. The guys, the 5 options we have in midfield now, all want to be here and all want to play for Tottenham and all offer something.
I know, but when they were here, David, they were our only options, unfortunately. But I'm just saying we had 5. We had 5 then. Right now we're left with 4, right?
Yeah, but my point is we've got 5 now.
But I haven't seen Sarr. Like, do you think he's gonna get?
We've seen him in preseason. We've seen him in preseason.
But I know, but
there.
We haven't seen him
You're
yet at
saying
all.
you're trying to tell me we had more numbers back then than what we do now.
I'm saying that
3-5-2.
I'm saying that that he had players that had played already, like that were being rotated through the squad, playing first team football. Where we haven't got Sarr, he hasn't put 1 minute yet. From what I might be wrong on that. Has he?
Not on
Conte has
not-
praised
not-
him.
Not in the league though.
No.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like he hasn't got a minute yet. Skip hasn't got a minute yet. He's just coming back. So I'm just saying, like he had players that were already kind of through the rotation. So those were his options. Right now, that's why I'm saying he seems to be, and I respect this about him, and I believe these words from him, that he babies his players. He actually fathers his players. He nurses over them. That he wants to make sure Sarr is brought in mentally prepared as well to go in there and not get into a game, get the crap kicked out of him, and just mentally be just done. You know, and I think he's really doing that with Spence. I really think he's holding his hand to make sure that when this kid comes out, he's ready to come out. So, and I believe that end of it. I really want to believe that end of it as an optimist, but that's the reason why we're not seeing them. And again, with Skip, if he's still at 95% and he's nursing him back till he's 100 because of the injuries that kid's had and the time he's missed last year and now at the beginning of this season, I'm fully 1,000% behind that because I want to see. We all love Skip. We rate him as our future. We all see him, you know, like Mourinho earmarked him for the future captain of our club, possibly future England captain. So I would love to see him babied back in. If it takes an extra 2-3 games, so be it. You know, that's the only way I say with the number thing. I'm not talking about quality. That's impossible to compare the quality of the players we had there and what we have now. That's a point I would never even try to argue with you.
I was going to say, because I don't think you can't say we have the
I'm a
numbers.
bit off, but not that bad, David.
We've got more strength in depth in midfield now than what we did back then. And if he could play a
100%.
3-5-2 back then with three players that he since have shipped out of the club that he doesn't trust, why can't he play a 3-5-2 with midfielders that he kept at the club that he does trust?
Yeah.
Bilal here with a super chat saying if Son, Kane, and Kulu start in the 3-4-3 and there's a 3-5-2 tactical switch, the results won't necessarily be the same. A fresh Son is better than a Richarlison. What are your thoughts here, Philip? Do you feel like there could be a 3-5-2 tactical switch kind of mid North London derby? And, you know, now with the way Son's been playing, does he displace Richarlison?
We need to play 3-5-2 on Saturday week. I'll tell you why. If I was an Arsenal player, I'd be gunning for Spurs after what happened at the end of last season.
Right.
Right. We denied them Champions League on the last day of the season. They are playing well. Regardless, I hate saying it, but they're playing well at the minute. And the last couple of times at their place, they ran us off the pitch. Yeah. So we can't go there open as hell in the midfield. We've got to match them up. 3 in the middle, change it later on in the game. But if we don't go 3-5-2 on Saturday week, I'll tell you one thing, we'll be struggling for a result. If they play the way they have been playing. And they normally do against us at their place. Let's face it, you know. So I think we'll be asking for trouble to be too open down the middle. We can change it later on if as the game goes on and go back to 3-4-3 or 3. You know what I'm saying? 3-4-2.
Yeah. No, you said it.
But I think we'd be foolish to go too open because much as it kills me to say it, they're a team I think are going to be a threat to us this season if they keep playing the way they are. I'm not saying they will do, but we've just got to allow them credit where it's due. And they have done well so far. And I don't want them to have the bragging rights be the first team to beat Spurs in the league this season.
And King Hoddle agrees with you, Philip. He says he just doesn't want to hand a team with high on confidence the midfield. So he wants to see a 3-5-2. Just as well, I feel like we probably are good enough with just Kane and Son up top. We've seen that Kane or Son is an absolute natural playing as that second striker. He can make those runs in behind with those deliveries from Kane in order to play through the center backs, as well as we've seen Højbjerg making those Viking runs, as Bobby said before. I think we could actually use the 3-5-2 in certain games. I know Conte might be a bit skeptical of it. He probably, in fact, rightfully so, doesn't feel comfortable resting one of his sort of kind of all-star forwards in the case of Richarlison, Kulusevski, etc. But I don't know. I think Sonny and Kane are almost world-class enough to be good enough on their own and maybe just need a bit of help from the likes of a Højbjerg or a Perisic or something in that game. But that's maybe all you need. And I agree with everybody else. We've seen it time and time again where Arsenal have absolutely overrun that midfield. And they do start off very kind of fast as well. And I think we'd like to see some stability maybe in that midfield. We don't want to get overrun right away.
Jack, I just saw Jacob's comment, and I completely forgot about this. I can't believe I left out Harvey White. What is going on with him? Is he injured or something?
He's playing for the under-23s, under-21s.
Do you guys think that he could get in to the first? I know you're
not yet. I mean, I think you wait for the fixtures that make most sense for, I think, the players to come in for those sort of games. And to be fair, Bobby, maybe to our own fault or whatever it may be, we haven't been winning games convincingly yet, or at least by a lot of goals. So that we haven't exactly even had the chance to maybe rotate in a bunch of players that, like a Harvey White or Papa Montessar, if you know what I mean.
And I also think the position we're in, and whether the performances have been great or not, the results have been. And he's never, ever, like I said, all right, 18-year-old, here you go, in you go. And I don't see him changing anytime soon, especially in the league. Like David said,
numbers-wise, an extra body, right, on the bench.
Like David said yesterday, and like it's true. The fact because of this World Cup, and there's so many differences, like the Carabao Cup doesn't start till November. The FA Cup obviously starts in January like normal. If this Carabao Cup had started as normal September, October, then you may have seen him. Then they may have got minutes under the belt. Then they may have had the chance to impress. But when it's just the Premier League and the Champions League, there's no way. Yeah. Conte may throw the other spanner in the work with a 3-5-2, a drop in Son, a switch in Perisic to right back, but under no circumstances he's saying, right, Harvey White, in you go. There's no chance. Or even a Papa Matasar. He's not doing it. Not from the starting lineup anyway.
Yeah, definitely, Brian. But big up, Bilal. Great question, my man. And I think with the way Sonny's been playing, you just go straight back in for Richarlison. They're just displacing each other left and right now at this stage. Big yourself up, Bilal. Really do appreciate the support. We're going to move on, everybody. Yeah, Dave.
Both of them look better.
Just saying big up.
We're going to move on to maybe one of my favorite topics here, everybody. We're going to be talking about the secret weapon, Gianni Vio. The stat I have here is that last year Spurs scored 69 goals in the Premier League, while Liverpool and Man City were up in the 90s, everybody. This year, we have the second most goals scored already in the league so far. Is Gianni Vio the secret to getting Spurs more goals throughout the season when they need it, as well as maybe higher up the table? Dave, I've yet to go to you first, so maybe I'm going to go to you first this time. Do you feel like Gianni Vio could be that secret to keeping Spurs higher up the table, maybe getting us out of games when we need it?
No, he is that secret weapon. So many teams have tried it before, and every team he's been at, he's had an instant impact. He helped Leeds when they were down in the Championship. I think they scored the most goals from corners they've ever scored in a single season. I think they doubled it from the season before. When you also look at Tottenham, I think we scored 5 headed goals all last season. We've already scored 5 so far this season. When you look at goals from corners as well, I think we only scored 8 across all last season, and this season we're already on course to go and beat that.
Moonboots already has 2 goals.
It was glaring obvious from under Jose Mourinho, from Pochettino. We did not offer enough goals from set pieces. It was getting to the point where I'd rather give away a goal kick than give a corner away and get our centre-backs and defence up the pitch when I know the corner's not going to beat the first man. This guy has had an impact every single place he's gone. And you can see the corner routines, Jack, whether it's getting someone thrown out from the near post, take the short corner, give it back, change the angle, get people running to the back post, running to the front post, getting the flick-ons. If you look at both goals against Leicester from the set pieces, one was at the near post, one was changing the angle and going to the far post. This guy is a set piece specialist. And in order to catch Man City, if you don't have their sort of money, you have to have an eye on every other little detail that makes and can affect games. And that's why this guy was brought in by the likes of Paratici and Conte, because they understand there's other ways to be able to catch these guys. When you look at City, Liverpool, Brentford last season, I think they finished the top 3 teams with goals from corner kicks and stuff like that. Now, City and Liverpool have already identified it and scoring goals, and sometimes they've been the difference maker in games. We also need to follow that suit, and we've also got the rewards and seen that it can be the difference maker in games. And plus, rather than beat a team 3-0 when we're on form, now we're going to beat them 6-0. Set pieces now I get excited for, Jack. I get a hard on. Yeah. I'm expecting Moonhead to get on the end of one. I'm expecting Harry Kane to sneak in at the back post, get a tap in. I absolutely love what Gio Vio has done. and the creativity of the set pieces, how detailed they are. And when you break down Harry Kane's one, they had 2 players running to the front post and 2 players running to the back post, splitting them up. I think he's been an absolute revelation since he's got here. And I think he's probably, if you look at it, some of the goals we got from set pieces, it's why we're so high in the table right now as well and undefeated.
Interesting. Philip, would you agree with that? Is Gianni Vio sort of the secret maybe to staying higher up the table, perhaps as that guy that you signed to maybe keep you contending, keep up with the pace?
Yeah, well, if he's coming up with his 4,000 different corner routines or whatever he has in his locker, yes, certainly we're going to see. Huh?
What a nerd, set piece nerd.
But I mean, one thing I'd like to see him do is improve his defensive set pieces, because we got caught out against Sporting there with one that he shouldn't have got caught out by, with a header for the first goal. So yeah, I mean, if he's able to make us unpredictable from free kicks and corners, all the better. But we do need someone to take those free kicks, because I'm afraid Harry has not exactly passed the audition on that one. Maybe Perisic can do it, But yeah, like Villa was certainly, as you say, he's done business everywhere he's been. And we've scored 7 goals from the heads already this season, which is unheard of for Spurs.
Really. He's scored more than any other team so far this season.
So
yeah,
he's earning his keep now. Whatever he's getting, whatever big bucks he's on. So, but I would like to see him just carry on. Don't forget about the defensive side of things as well, because that's equally important.
Here's his stats, and I want to give you a follow-up question on that just quickly, Philip. But the stats are, I think I got them slightly wrong. Tottenham have scored more headed goals this season than any other team, and we only scored 8 last season across the season. We've already scored 7 this season. Yeah, we scored 5 goals from corners all last season, and we've already scored 5 this season. So he's absolutely already having a massive impact. Just on the defensive thing, look, this guy is a specialist at attacking set pieces. Yeah. He's not a specialist at defensive set pieces, Philip. Do you think we should be looking at someone that is a specialist at defensive set pieces?
Yeah, we should, because I mean that's one of our Achilles' heels, really, is conceding goals from corners and free kicks in dangerous positions. So I think if we're splashing the cash on an attacking set piece specialist, we should do the same for defensive, because what's the point in scoring a beautiful goal from a free kick if you let 2 in at the other end?
True. Maybe so. Maybe so. How do you feel, Daigle, about the secret weapon, Gianni Vio? Is he going to keep us higher up the table? Is he kind of sort of maybe a secret weapon to keeping maybe or getting results when we need them most? Or are you kind of on the lines of Philip? Or, yeah, he's great for right now, but maybe we also need to consider becoming better at defending set pieces too, because he is ready.
First of all, we desperately need a defensive set piece coach. Desperately. There's no question, with or without Vio. This is a problem that has gone on for so long. It needs to be addressed now. I've gone on saying that for me, Perisic is our marquee signing of the season, as in the playing staff. Over the transfer market, I think Vio is the best signing we made this season.
Been the most impactful.
Him and Perisic, the combination of him and Perisic.
You got to remember what this guy's done for our set pieces. You could even see there was one with Harry Kane against Lisbon, and Harry Kane had a poor game. But there was that game where he pretended to run away from the free kick, but then he came back and whipped it in, and the defense didn't know what was going to hit them. It was just no one there on the delivery. What you got to remember with all these big teams, like David said, with them scoring set pieces, what they also have is a Kevin De Bruyne that could score a dead ball from a free kick. They've got a Andrew Robertson or a Trent Alexander-Arnold or the players Chelsea have at their disposal. I think we all know when we get a free kick and it's near the end of we know one man's going to take it. And as much as David sings it, loves him, and I love him.
Which man on the wall it's going to hit.
But that's what me and Danny Kiriakou started singing at Spurs when Harry Kane went to take a free kick. We started singing, it's hitting the wall, Harry Kane, it's hitting the wall. Because it is the most pointless thing ever. We know he's going to take it, and we know what's going to happen. The fact that his 2 goals from free kicks have come from wicked deflections, they are just absolutely atrocious. Like David said, I'd rather give the defence a goal kick. I'd rather give the opposition. But what Vio has done, I think We Are Tottenham TV said we've already scored the same amount of set piece goals this season than we have the entire of last season.
Yeah.
And as David rightly said, set pieces has become a major thing. I've got one of my very close friends, Wayne Holland, in the chat. Leicester have just hired one now because of their defensive. This has become like a huge part of it. And Jack and
How
I.
does it feel, just quickly to interrupt you, how does it feel, though, maybe, Brian, and to maybe be more dangerous from corners? I agree with you. Free kicks and whatnot, we need to become more dangerous from as well. But when we do get a corner, felt like last season, like we were maybe asking a lot or not asking a lot. We should be more dangerous from them. But you know what I'm trying to say here, that it felt like we were never going to score from a corner. Now, what does it feel like maybe to expect almost Spurs to score from a corner?
The Leicester game sums it up perfectly. I can't remember a game last season where we had 3 corners and we may have had 3 corners in a game, but I can't remember 3 corners actually hitting the target or getting past the first man or reaching a player, whether we scored from it or not. And then you look at the Leicester game. The first one, short corner, Kulusevski cross, Kane, goal. Second one, Eric Dyer, goal. Third one, Perisic, it ended up in the net, but all right, there was a foul on the keeper. They're all going into dangerous areas, into where we should be having an impact. And now when we get a corner, as opposed to being like, oh God, it's a corner, here we go, this is going to be, let's just hope and pray that this beats the first man or whatever. There's a real sense of urgency or a real sense of anticipation for us that there is going to be something at the end of this. And not only that, opposition, most importantly, the opposition are like, oh, here we go. Yeah. Spurs have gone from being a nobody at a dead ball situation in corners. We can relax, just zone marking or whatever they do. It won't get to their target. So thinking, shit, are they going to just put it on the near post, far post? Is it going to be a routine? Are they going to do this? You're putting questions in the opposition's mind, which is half the battle. We're very lucky, Jack. When we're over here in North America, we know how big special plays are in like NFL and whatever, and what a huge part of the game it's become. This is modern day football where you try anything to get a win, whether it be the away dressing room be shit, whether it be the home team's dugout have heated seats and the away team. It's all about those small margins and those small little measures that can make the slightest impact. And if we carry on the trajectory, oh my God, I said that word right for the first time, live first time. If we can go on the way we're doing, where we've already scored the same amount of free kicks or dead balls, set pieces as we did all of last season, God knows where we're going to finish with them. And like you said, these little things, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City have in abundance, and they score frequently from. And it could be a huge factor of what we've been missing out on. So Rio coming in, and you saw, sorry, just in closing, there was that stat that I saw last season. He managed a team in Italy, had this job in Italy, and it was a team in the bottom 3. And in the second half of the season that he was there, 18% of their goals came from set pieces. And when you're talking about a team struggling for relegation, that's a huge amount, and they didn't get relegated. So wherever he goes, they do this. I think he is an exceptional signing. I think it's a masterstroke.
I do want to add something, but I believe, Philip, your kidney stone's playing at you, my man.
Yeah, just a bit. you know what that means, David.
Anything you want to say before we let you go? We won't keep holding you, lad. I know what the pain's like. We won't keep holding you.
No, I'm enjoying the chat. I mean, it's a really, really good chat tonight. And I really enjoyed it. Great company and very knowledgeable company as well. So, well done, lads.
Maybe.
Love it.
No,
I'll Till I Die. Maybe a little plug as well. Sorry.
Tottenham Till I Die. Tomorrow night we're doing a program at 8:00. It's about the 60s. It'll be not just the football. It'll be the things that were happening in the 60s, the bands, the songs, the music, a bit of Irish history thrown in. So that's at 8:00 tomorrow night on THFC Till I Die. And we'll see you back on here again soon.
We will.
Appreciate you coming on with us, Philip. Thank you.
There's the channel in the comments. Get over and show them
support. Wish you better, Phil, buddy.
Thank you,
man. All the best. See you, Jack. See you, Dave.
See you soon, Godfather.
Thank you, Philip. Right. I just want to add how important, just put in context, how important some of De Villa's set pieces are. Earned us a point against Chelsea. Came to fruition last minute. If we weren't good at set pieces, we would have went 2-0 down against Leicester the other week. The fact that just goes to show the importance of your set pieces. They kept us in the game against Leicester in the first half. They earned us a point away at Stamford Bridge in the very last minute. The attacking set pieces are becoming a real weapon in our arsenal, and I really, really do like it, to be honest with you, Jack. And for me, when you look at it, 9 times out of 10, we win that first ball that goes in there. So we have more chance of scoring than not. So I think it's
why I
absolutely.
asked that question to Daigle, Dave. Like, what does it feel like to be more dangerous from corners? Because I don't know about you, it's been a long time since I felt like we ever get even close to anything from a corner. I think Brian Daigle brought up a good point, saying like, let alone hit the target 3 times, hit somebody's head 3 times is a success. But it feels like now we can actually expect things from corners and at least expect to be dangerous from them, especially against teams, let's say, who are vulnerable to them or maybe have shown this season to be vulnerable to them. And it gets us out of games, Dave, as much as we want to rely on the likes of Harry Kane, Son, Kulusevski, etc., to continue to pull us out of games and whatnot. I mean, the set piece is certainly a better way in certain moments to get you out because let's say Kulusevski, he hits the bar, he hits the post, you just maybe miss that chance to equalize. It's nice to have now another way to score, another way to be able to attack because we didn't have that last season. We didn't really have another way of scoring. In fact, our other way of scoring was probably via own goals. In fact, was sort of our extra way of scoring. And now it's Gianni has sort of replaced the own goals of the team. And I really like having him. He's a secret weapon. And it's nice to see us sort of be like the teams, even though I don't want to be anything like the bubble blowers, Dave. I was a bit jealous sometimes of seeing how much they did get out of games with set pieces. Like they would be playing like the worst team on the pitch for 90 minutes, but they would win 1-0, 2-1 with 2 excellent set pieces. And you're just kind of thinking to yourself, well, if that's what it takes to get points on the board and have a good weekend, I'll definitely take it.
The difference between an average team and a good team going forward, Jack, is a good team excels in all areas. That's why they're fair going forward. Whether it's free kicks, whether it's corners, whether it's from open play, they excel in all areas. If you go down through the league, you can guarantee different teams excel in different areas. Some will be very good at open play, but crap at set pieces. And others will be really good at set pieces, but crap from open play. But in order to be feared like City and Liverpool, you have to be good across all areas, like City and Liverpool. So I'm glad that we identified that because it was getting to the point where teams knew if they could stop Tottenham from open play, Tottenham ain't scoring. Now they have to stay switched on all the time.
Nick in the house getting his thoughts on the set piece coach and the secret weapon, saying bringing in a set piece specialist has made the other teams think. Now that we're scoring from them, the league has been shook or is shook. It plays to our advantage here. I think you're spot on there. And in fact, probably teams have been getting used to us before, Nick, not threatening at all from set pieces and being quite ordinary or quite, like kind of lame almost from set pieces and not being able to really pose any threat whatsoever. Now we've sort of surprised them with how dangerous and how good we've been and how threatening we've been. Really pick yourself up. And Simon Davis saying something similar, saying these set pieces are also tailored to expose the other team's weaknesses, study where the opposing team is struggling, then capitalize on it. I think a good example of that, Simon, was even that Kulusevski cross. I think they hedged all their bets that Leicester would put all their big men on the near post because we like to hit the near post. So they just decide to put all their best headers of the ball, or at least defenders of the set pieces at the near post. And then from there, we actually put Kane and Richie on the back post and just absolutely schooled them. So Simon, absolutely spot on, my man. Absolutely spot on.
Big up, Simon. Big up.
Well, we're going to finish, I think, with kind of the last question sort of the evening, something to kind of ease off on to sort of kind of wind things down, relax, you could say. There has been some articles released about the players that are still available on a freeze / players that we could sign maybe early on that sort of 6 month when they wind down their contract to the last 6 months. You can sign them kind of on a free ahead of time. Daichi Kamada being an example, the one we were linked with today. But Luka Modric could be one of them, Mr. Brian Daigle. Would you take Luka Modric at the end of next season if given the chance? A bit of an extra time sort of kind of question, which I know you're
in a goddamn heartbeat. In a goddamn heartbeat. Do you know what? For many, many years, and this is before Pochettino, this is before YouTube, this is before, I kept saying I wouldn't have cared if we had signed 3 in a summer window, if we went and signed 3 33-year-olds. If they were Champions League winners, World Cup finalists, or La Liga winners, or Bundesliga winners, been there, seen it, done it, and got that experience to carry over a team and say, right, this is how we act, this is how we do, this is how we see out a game. Because we always go for these young talents, or you need some skill in there. You need some experience. You need some people that have been there, done it, got the T-shirt. You know what I mean? You have a player who, let's say, is 34, 35, but has won absolutely nothing, going, listen, I've played for 15, 20 years. Let's do this. You're like, well, what have you won? Or you have a player like Luka Modric that has won, 6 Champions Leagues, 2 La Ligas, been to a World Cup final. We know the class he had as a Tottenham player. In a goddamn heartbeat, I would take Luka Modric, even if he didn't come in and start every game, just to have him around the dressing room, on the bench, to come and see out games or start games and not be able to see him through, or the way he's still playing, still not a question. If Luka Modric could come back, I would do everything in my power to get him back.
I think we all would do anything in our power. And maybe a follow-up question, Daigle. Is he good enough still to this day to basically play for any team he wants to? Luka Modric, can he basically walk into most teams still to this day? Is he still that good?
Do you know what? When he first signed for Spurs, I remember watching a pre-season friendly with him against Celtic. Can't remember, it wasn't at Celtic. It was one of these European tournaments where teams go. And the first thing you saw of him, you look and you think, look how small he is, look how lightweight he is. He's not going to be. That game, he literally ran the show, and it was like, how in God's name? And then you hear about Harry Redknapp that started him on the left, and then said, no, you need to go in the centre. And people were like, he's too slight to be in the centre. He won't be able to dictate games. And he showed the class of that man. And you just look at that man's CV. That man could walk into any team in the world, and he goes straight into their starting lineup. Any team. He is sensational.
Yeah. And look, the brain moves, the ball moves quicker than any player, and the guy's brain has still got it. He's still sharp up top, Jack. For me, I think it'd be a no-brainer. I think he'd walk in here, he'd run our midfield for another season. I don't want to hear anything about age. What can he do defensively? When he's so good on the ball, you're going to end up dominating possession. So I wouldn't even question what he can do defensively. For me, I think he's also still the best passer in world football. People are going to say, De Bruyne, forget that. Let's go to the original right now, the OG, Luka Modric, outside of the boot, inside of the boot. It does
Pretty sure
not
that
matter.
outside the boot's going to be put in a museum at some stage.
Yeah.
Kind of like Harry Kane's boots were put in a museum.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This guy has the best passing ability across world football. For me, I would love him to come back. I don't think he will. I don't think he left too happy with how Tottenham sort of treated him when he was leaving. But at the end of the day, if there was a possibility, I'd be straight on it. You actually don't want to know what I would do to get this guy back at Tottenham. I would do some pretty sick things to have him back.
I mean, it certainly would be a beautiful reunion of sorts. And I also think I think he's still to this day basically one of the best midfielders in the world. And he'd probably fill that creative void that we've been looking for. No need to sign a creative midfielder if you're going to have the likes of Luka Modric coming into the team quite soon. And who knows? I mean, he could be probably still playing at this high level for another 3 years, I could say. And I think he's just renewing contract after contract after contract, just to see at any stage if he maybe does lose that touch, maybe does lose that edge, but it looks like he won't anytime soon, everybody. So I would say something that we should actually, if given that dream, dream scenario, take advantage of. Class act, says Graham as well. Pick yourself up, Graham. But I think pretty much reached the end of the show. Was going to be kind of a nice sort of chill one anyways. Mr. Daigle, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to put Bobby K's link in the chat as well, but you're here right in front of me, so I'm going to maybe give the chance for Bobby K to be able to plug his own if he can step away from dinner.
I'll plug both. Okay.
Which one? We'll start with yours, maybe on Tottenham on Tour.
Okay, Tottenham on Tour. We were meant to be doing something today, but there's a few things going on at the moment with myself, which has made me kind of not able to commit to doing things. Oh, he's come in just in time. We were just doing the plugs for the show. I was just about to plug your show in a minute. I was about to plug your show in a minute. But okay. Go for it. So we were meant to do something today, but hopefully we'll do something over the weekend. But Tottenham on Tour will be back hosting the Late Show on We Are Tottenham TV tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 1 a.m. back home, where we're going to speak about probably a lot of the things we've discussed today. But Tottenham on Tour will be back and will be regular very, very shortly. There's just a few things out of our control at the moment. But that's where you can find me, Danny Kiriakou, Ben Kaufman, and of course, Brian Ireland.
Definitely.
There you are, guys. The link is in the chat to make it easy for you guys to get over there, smash that subscribe button, and show some support. Bobby? what's coming up on the Three Spurs boys this weekend?
Cheers, buddy. Well, we got this beautiful gentleman. You might know him. His name is David from over at the Irish Hotspur, and we're going to bring in another member we'd like to get to know from the Irish Hotspur for Off the Pitch this weekend. So Nick and David will be joining us for an Off the Pitch episode, and figured it's only fair because Jack got 2 special episodes alone on here, right? So try to even it out over there and share some love with all you boys over there. So get to know David and Nick a little bit better shortly here, everybody. So look forward to that next week. We'll be posting that, and this Sunday, me and, of course, Coov the Kang will be back on Sunday evening, 10:30 p.m. for you folks over in England, and 5:30 p.m. over for us over here in Canada time. So, yeah, we've got a new intro that courtesy of Betty Kaufman over there at the coffee company we're looking forward to debuting. So we're looking forward to Sunday. We're really excited for it. Yeah, cheers. Hopefully you guys can join us.
Love it. Everybody,
thanks for having us today.
Everybody get over there to the Three Spurs boys and show support. We're all Spurs fans, so let's spread the love. Jacko, that's last but not least, my man, where can people find you?
Super kind of random video that I made today, but I think you would be interested if you guys are kind of interested in things outside the Spurs world. I kind of had a sort of hunch to maybe make a video about a manager who I think might be, I don't know, maybe next up and coming kind of big manager, that new kind of Nagelsmann that everybody wants, maybe because Dave, he dresses, a certain way, kind of cuts his hair a certain way, the modern looking manager, you could say, that everybody wants. But I kind of made a bold prediction that I think he could be a big up and coming manager that maybe a lot of Premier League clubs should take a look at. It's RB Salzburg, Matthias Jaisla. So check it out if that sounds interesting.
You're wicked at that, Jack.
Yeah, he loves it.
I love when you do it, man. You find all these wicked gems that, all these people, man.
He's got some scalps on. He has some scalps on his pedigree already. I have a bold feeling maybe he'll be better than the Nagelsmann. The very well-raved Nagelsmann.
Wow. If you're a manager that wears skinny jeans and has a comb over, Jack will be.
He's all turtlenecks, Dave. I think that's what Nagelsmann is missing in his game. Is he needs a few more turtlenecks, less skinny jeans, or fewer skinny jeans and whatnot. So that's what I would say. He's a good one though. So check it out. Not too long either. Everybody, like 8 minutes. Just kind of chat about maybe what he's done so far and kind of what I like about him.
Nice.
Everybody get over there, check it out. It's the international break, not much going on. So guys, everybody get over there, check it out, smash that subscribe button and keep sharing the love. But look, we've come to the end of the show, guys. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed it. Everyone has said that they've enjoyed it today. So big yourselves up. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Feel free to get your comments in underneath the video when it's ended. And I'll be in there interacting with you. I've done it over the last few videos. So make sure you get in there, and I'll also be in there to share my thoughts off the back of yours. And I want to say a massive thank you to Bobby, to Brian, to Philip, to Jack for today. I also want to thank you guys for tuning in, because like I say to you, these fan channels, these shows are absolutely nothing without the support you give us. So a massive thank you to you guys out there, and we will see you back here tomorrow. A fan show between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Tomorrow, it's first come, first serve. I do have to be off at 5 because my sister's coming over and I want to spend a bit of time with her, the one that was in the hospital. So between 3 and 5 tomorrow, if you want to come on and have your say. And guys, we'll see you back here then. So as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
In Conte, we trust.